Hello everyone, welcome to Perseverance IAS. Today is Saturday, September 18th, 2021. Let us begin with the first article for today in the Hindu newspaper that you have to read for competitive exams. The first article is SC Collegium on mission mode to fill vacancies. Three things you have to read this from article. Number one is the collegium system. I have been telling you have to read about collegium system and NJAC. Second, what is the issue of vacancies in Indian judiciary? 3. What is the new renewed focus on filling up those vacancies through the collegium mode by the current leadership in Indian judiciary? From that perspective, please do read this article. Now moving on to the next one, GST Council not for inclusion of petroleum products, FinMin. Now, what is the importance of inclusion of petroleum products into GST regime or under GST regime? From that perspective, try to read it, and also please do a little bit of reading on the GST rates and issues surrounding GST altogether. Now moving on, tax on fabrics, garments and footwear hiked. So these are the slab systems that I was trying to tell you about. You have to know how many types of slabs are there under GST regime, because there is a chance that something related to that might be asked this year. And also, if possible, try to learn what are the issues that states are having in regards to GST with the center. From that perspective, this article kind of becomes important because it's about center-state relations. Now moving on, political change in Afghanistan not inclusive. This is an important step towards Afghanistan from the Indian government. So this is our Prime Minister saying that whatever the government that Afghanistan has right now in terms of Taliban is not inclusive. Please do read it. This becomes important for international relations. A mains question, when something is asked, you have to write what Indian stance is. From the point of view, this article becomes important. Now the most important story, like it's a very positive story, right? India sets record with 2.5 crore COVID-19 shots in one day. So this is an important step towards India's fight against COVID-19, where we were successfully able to inoculate 2.5 crore people in a single day. Exam point of view, just a highlight. Apart from that, nothing much out of it. Now moving on to the next page. Coming to page 6, editorial, picking up the threads from the Afghan rebel. This is again regards to Afghanistan. A possible way out for India in our way for engagement in Afghanistan. See, anything related to Afghanistan is important, because if they are not asking a question this year, they are going to ask a question next year. So just be aware, it is easier to learn now than later. So please do concentrate on and have a basic and a common idea about what is happening in Afghanistan, what are the implications for India, and what would be the possible way out for India in terms of engagement in Afghan's future. Now moving on to the next, act and friction. This you have to relate to the first article in regards to judicial vacancies. Now try to understand this is about appointments to tribunals. Learn what tribunals are. If you know what tribunals are, try to learn more about the appointments for tribunals and how it is always important to have no vacancies or as little vacancies as possible in the tribunals. From that perspective, this becomes important. See, don't go into the Chima case because it's an one-off case, but again try to learn what is behind the article than what is in the article. It talks about delay in filling up of vacancies in tribunals. From that perspective, this article becomes important. Now moving on to OpEd, the reason that I did not highlight is, my suggestion would be is to learn about Nipah virus, right? Nipah virus is certainly important given the pandemic background that we are in right now. So if you could learn a bit about the origins of Nipah virus, it originated in a village or a town called Nipah in Malaysia, near the forest of Malaysia. So from that kind of prelims based idea is something that you should have, and also you should be aware that there is a vaccine that is being currently developed against Nipah virus, which will certainly help somebody if they contract Nipah virus, and also learn why Nipah virus is more dangerous than COVID-19. It simply boils down to the fact that Nipah virus has high mortality rates compared to COVID-19 virus. So my suggestion is learn more about Nipah and also the biology behind Nipah virus, so that it becomes easier if and when a question is asked in prelims. Now moving on to page number 8. E-auction of gifts to PM gets underway. See, why can't PM hold on to gifts? From that perspective, read it, because though it looks simple, sometimes this is where some questions do come from. Now moving on to next. Page number 9, that is news. Jaishankar calls for an early resolution of LAC issue. This is on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting or summit that is happening in Tajikistan. Please do read this, because this gives you an idea of what is Indian policy in regards to Ladakh and LAC issue, border issue in total. Now moving on, higher judiciary set for biggest reshuffle in recent times. This is just an informative article. My idea was learn what transfers of judges involves. So this is again back to collegium. So from that perspective, please do read this article. Now moving on to the next article. Australia informed India about AUKUS, says envoy. So this is Australian envoy saying that we have already intimated India regarding the grouping, security trilateral grouping. So try to get an understanding as to why Australia thought it was important for India and Japan to be made known. Remember, we are already a member of Quad, which included Australia, US, Japan, and India. But AKUS is something where a critical technology is being transferred to Australia. What is the critical technology here? Technology on nuclear propulsion. Remember, it took India more than 2 or 3 decades to get the technology of nuclear propulsion on indigenous basis, right? We got it on our own, but here what is happening is, just because Australia is joining this trilateral grouping, security grouping to be very specific, US is going to supply Australia with nuclear propulsion technology for their submarines. So learn more about AUKUS. Also learn more about the organization that, or that grouping that existed prior to AUKUS, that involved New Zealand. So if they don't ask question here, they might ask question about the earlier grouping. So from that perspective, this becomes important. Now moving on to page number 10, major restructuring of railways on annual. So learn what kind of new initiatives are there being made in regards to the recommendations of reforms or restructuring of railways. From that perspective, this becomes important. Again, for mains, don't even worry about it. Now moving on to world, page number 11. She calls for a moderate Afghanistan. Again, this is in regards to SOC summit. Please do read it in that regard. Afghanistan, sideline it, read it. If you feel like making certain notes, do make it. Apart from it, the standard rule applies. Now Biden unveils plan to cut methane emissions. First, why methane emissions are significant. 2, what is the policy that here Joe Biden is announcing. This is important because of the recent Kerry visit to India, who happens to be the US envoy on climate. Now moving on to the next, UN mission in Afghanistan gets extension. So learn what UN mission on Afghanistan is and what is the role that it is playing in Afghanistan. And particularly this becomes a significance because post US troop withdrawal from Afghanistan. Now moving on, Australia shrugs off China anger on nuclear sub. So this you have to relate or attach or combine with, or sorry, link with yesterday's article where China was saying that AUKUS grouping is a threat to regional peace. From that perspective, this article becomes important. Also learn why France is saying that there is a they have been stabbed in the back by Australia. Again, exam point of view, not much important, but being aware in IR is always helpful. Now moving on to business. Council raises GST on low cost footwear garments to 12%. This is again the first page article. What are the slabs in GST Council? How slabs are increased or reduced? From that perspective, read this article. Now moving on, WTO's agricultural pact tilted against developing countries. So learn what the agricultural pact that Piyush Goyal is talking about here. From that perspective, this article is important because recently India is also engaging with a lot of countries in trade agreements, and being able to be aware of what WTO stipulates is also important. Now, these are the important articles that you have to read in the Hindu newspaper for today. I hope you are preparing well. I hope you have downloaded your admit card. All the best for your prelims. My humble suggestion is, if you have any questions, please do leave them in the comments below so that I'll try to answer you. I'll try to help you through this, and yeah, have a positive mindset. Go into it with the confidence that you need, and I sincerely hope, and I know I know you will succeed in this. Thank you. Please do like the video. Please do leave a comment letting me know how the video was. If you have any questions also, please let me know through the comment section. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please click on the bell icon so that, and turn on the notifications so that you know when the video goes up. I'm trying to get editorial analysis for a daily basis back on track again, and I hope this has been helpful to you. Thank you. Stay safe. Namaste.